Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Dan from Giovanni, and I am here with a very, very special guest today, whom I really wanted all of you to meet. Her name is Sangeeta Bansal. She's very OG breathwork specialist, yoga teacher, my personal teacher. So I thought that as I am learning and as I attend her classes, maybe I would join her one morning on a Sunday where we can record some of these super amazing techniques and exercises and talk about it first for a few minutes and then also demonstrate a few exercises and see, listen, if you find these helpful, we're going to post her information below. Please meet Sangeeta.
Hi, thank
Hello,
you, Dr.
Sangeeta.
Dean. Thank you, Sophia, my dear friend and partner in
Student.
crime.
Student. I'm a
Yeah,
learner from you.
we are colleagues on the path of creating health and wellness for our clients and for everyone who can benefit from any of these practices. So thank you for having me on your show. Happy to be here.
Sangeeta, the one thing that is very important that we have to share with everyone is the fact that we were born on the same day. We share the same birthday, and I actually started meeting you because I was like, oh, here's this one other person who has the exact same birthday who lives right here, and we can meet for
Yeah, I
lunch.
know. We are our birthday buddies, our fellow Sagittarius.
Yes. And then afterwards, I realized that you're so much into breath work and learning. Actually, I went your retreat, meditation retreat at your home, at your fabulous palatial palace. It's like a heaven where you live. But the thing is that the guy who you had invited, the teacher who you had invited, I ended up really enjoying that. And
Yeah.
that's when I realized that you're so much into it. How many places have you taught? Tell me a little bit about your journey, like what got you to be who you are?
Thanks for asking. My journey probably began in my 40s. I started exploring first just the theoretical aspects of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which are the seminal texts of the yogic practices. And I just stumbled upon one of his texts. His main text is called Yoga Sutra, and the first line of that basically says Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which is a Sanskrit, like a sutra, actually a very concise line, which basically says that with yoga you can calm down the vicissitudes of the mind. Really got me thinking. Like, I don't know why it just struck a chord with me so much that I'm like, oh wow, is yoga supposed to help me with my mental condition, like all my anxiety and my chronic worry and my issues with anger and my other difficult emotions? Like, yoga is going to work with my emotions. Like, I didn't quite know that before, that this whole mind body thing. And so that really sucked me in, and I began my journey with that. And that was like in around 2009 or 2010. I got certified as a mindfulness coach in 2013, and that was my next step from yoga to mindfulness, which is couched in Buddhist teachings actually, and is a very meditation focused practice, not so much yoga. So I think my journey is a mishmash of several streams. I Indian of Hindu faith, have my basic training in Vedanta, which is all the gurus of India, that the stuff that they teach. And then the yoga is a separate branch of Hindu philosophy, and I studied that with several teachers, and then moved into mindfulness, which enabled me to get a secular certification, which allows me to teach in the schools and colleges which want to preach anything religious. So it was basically mindfulness for stress reduction, which really is something that the kids needed and enjoyed. I've taught at pre-COVID, I was teaching at many institutions like Rye Country Day School, Princeton University, New York University, and others. And of course, Hong Kong International School, where I started my work as a mindfulness teacher in 2013. So mindfulness itself incorporates some breath work, even though, like I said, it's not a yoga practice, but it is a mind-body practice. So there is stretching that was involved in my training. And then there was basic breath work that was involved. And we teach this to the kids in school, like from age 5 now, like kids in kindergarten or even in pre-kindergarten are taught some of these basic breathing techniques, which helps them calm down, because you have a lot of kids with anxiety and ADHD that manifests as tantrums and other things that happen in a classroom, which is really kids trying to ask for attention because they're anxious at some level. Right from age 3 or 4, they can be taught these very easy but very effective breathing practices. Obviously not all of them, we just teach a few at that age. And then I've taught high school kids, and I've taught sports students, like deal with anxiety when they're about to go into an important match or their important exam, or they're about to write a paper and suddenly they have this wave of anxiety. Or public speaking, for example, it gets to a lot of people, how they have to present in front of a professor or their colleagues. So people use it for a variety of different reasons. Anxiety is one of the things, and stress reduction is a big draw for people coming into mindfulness.
That is like amazing, because I feel that you have all these different layers of training. You've done not just like some one modality, you did like several modalities. And then being in America, they kind of make whitewash it for everyone and remove the religious aspect, which
I understand they have to, because we're teaching all religions, we're teaching all humans, and at some level it really is not, we all
a religious thing.
And people are very nervous about cultural appropriation. So all my mindfulness teachers always give the credit where it's due, like where they learned it from is from the Buddhist Vipassana practices or from the Hindu meditation practices. So nobody is doing anything that's not right. I think it's important to strip it from some of the religious connotations, because the benefit, and in fact, the Dalai Lama himself was asked about this, was asked whether it's appropriate to teach it without the religious aspect. And he said, if it benefits someone, it should be taught. That's the only criteria. If it can be of help to anyone, it should be taught. There's no other criteria.
Religion, I feel, is just a way of every person connecting with something that is bigger than them, something divine. I really like, one of the things that trained in is transcendental meditation. And it is, again, great for people who suffer from PTSD. It's great for people who have like so many other attention deficit and stuff. There are so many different things that they're now researching and figuring out how good it is to, especially if you're going through any painful episodes, how to meditate through it. One of the ways when you go for the transcendental meditation training, you have to go and you have to do like with this very Hindu cultural tradition. It is like going and saying thank you to the masters who actually found this information and are passing it down. So I am a believer in this, that pay respects and homage to the people who actually are bringing that information to you and who are the sources to that. So I don't mind if you in our and especially for me, because this program is for my people who actually listen to me and follow me. So for them, I want them to understand the fact that you are not, even though you have whitewashed your some of the lessons.
Now, only when I teach in academic
university
setting.
Yeah, so please feel free to tell us all the things and their original roots and how. One thing I really want to learn, and one of the things that I am also learning, and I like to take notes also, is like when you teach the breathing lessons, these are like, they have their own names, which they also have names in English, but they have the names, and I would rather learn them in your names, because I just feel that that's original. That's very OG.
Yeah, I see both arguments. Like I'm neutral whether people like to learn the original Sanskrit name or they like the English translation. It's a question of whatever works. If you like to call it the skull shining breath, that's fine. If you like to call it by its original name, Kapalbhati, that's totally fine, as long as it's something that sticks in your head and helps you memorize. So I don't have any problems with people using English words, because I think like my basic philosophy is it's the practice that matters. The knowledge is good, but your daily 20 minutes of practice that's going to change something in your life. Other than that, it's all another.
I feel whenever I train with you, I feel that you are helping us figure out our body and use our body, use our breath. And at the end, we bring that energy and we put it in ourselves so that we can go and later on give it to whoever we come in touch with. So I really
this is
am.
something that you hit the nail on the head, because in this yoga tradition, we don't get to the divine by bypassing the body and the breath. Go through it. First, get into your body. You first understand that there are things in your body that blockages in your spirit. And through your breath, you clear those blockages, and then you prepare yourself to be this higher version of yourself. It's not by surpassing that.
Was also very impressed with your work, where sometimes I feel that once somebody has trained for 10, 20 years in something or in some methodology, we will just take your word for it. But you were like, no, people cannot just watch this and do it. You have to get a consultation with the expert and make sure that this is right for them. It's not like available like that.
Correct. When I did my pranayama training, which is my breathwork training with several different types of coaches, including Western and yogic masters, like there's a particular teacher called A.G. Mohan, who is in the lineage of one of the oldest yoga teachers called Sri Krishnamacharya. And he learned it directly from Krishnamacharya. And I did this course with A.G. Mohan. We were taught how delicate this whole practice can be. Like you're putting this stress on your central nervous system, on your cardiovascular system, and on your, not only that, also your mental situation. Accept the fact that your breath affects your mental state, then you have to also realize that it can go either way. Like the correct breath work could make you feel mentally stable and calmer and less anxious, but if done the wrong way, it will have the opposite impact, right? So it was really stressed upon us to work with someone who understood that and at a deeper level, and was able to give the teaching as it was intended and not as a one size fits all kind of a thing. Having said that, like I said, some of the breath work that we teach even to kindergartners in middle school, when I was teaching middle school, like they had no attention span and they had no interest in learning about theoretical background of each breath. You just teach them a couple things and you tell them when to use it, and that's it. That's good enough for them. So everybody is different. And at my age, when people at my age, like some of us have blood pressure issues, some of us have thyroid issues, some of us have aches and pains in the body, some of us have asthma or breathing issues. So I need to be aware of some of that when I teach somebody, so that I don't guide them into the wrong practice. That's what I meant.
I always say to my followers that humans are nothing but a chemical reaction occurring under our skin. And your breath work can change and transform or enhance that chemical reaction in your favor. And that is why it is important to, because if you suffer from a particular ailment and then you learn the breath work that is suitable for you personally, that is going to change the way your life is going to go on. And one of my questions from you is like, if there are just 5 exercises, breathwork exercises, that like the way you taught us, if there are 5 exercises that you think your child should know, what are those top 5 exercises that you would say that, hey, do this in the morning, do this in the afternoon, do this in the evening when you're trying to chill, and do this at night when you're sleeping, or do this when you're meditating? Is there something like that you have, which you would, if you have, that is something that I want to record and keep like a small clip with me.
It's a great question. And I think this is the one question that most of my students have, especially the ones who are very busy with their school work and their college work, and they don't have time to do a prolonged practice, and they need to target the practice for when they need it. For example, I've often told my college students, like, it's late at night, it's midnight, you have a paper due in the morning, you haven't yet finished it, you're expecting to put in a few more hours, but it's already midnight. Now and you're feeling very sleepy, you have the option that you're going to get a double espresso what's that going to do? You're going to finish your paper maybe by 2 a.m. and then you're going to be up the rest of the night because caffeine circulates in your blood for about 6 to 8 hours. What do? Like, you're caught in this conundrum. You're sleepy. You need to get the paper done. But if you have the coffee, you're going to be up all night with that jittery. So that's when I would make an exception and do the coffee breath at night then, which I normally recommend in the morning only for that boost of energy. Because if you do that coffee breath at night when you need, and it's a circumstance in life that is just popped up, you will not retain the effects of that breath for beyond 2-3 hours, you see. So it will not stay in your system as long as coffee would. It would give you that temporary boost of energy. So something like that is a very targeted practice that I teach my students, like, do it in the morning. Also remember that you have this tool. Basically what we are giving them are certain tools in their toolbox, and they can take them out as and when they need it.
It is kind of what's coming to me is also that I just realized that these breath works were found and rooted in the yogic tradition way before coffee was. Coffee is just a recent addition to humankind.
And not to say that our yogis didn't have access to plant medicine also. They knew all of that stuff too, like equivalent of plant medicine or the shamans and the indigenous people who used various plant medicines for creating states of consciousness and mind states. So they were aware of all that too. But breathwork is a portal, as you yourself said a few minutes ago, that it's a portal to the divine. It's the doorway through which you can access deeper aspects of your own consciousness. And of course, there's very aggressive breathwork known as holotropic breathwork, for example, that actually imitates LSD in your body, right? And I'm not a teacher of that kind of breathwork. It's aggressive and very, very targeted for what it's supposed to do. And I highly recommend if you, it actually works great with trauma, like people who have suppressed trauma.
When we do our lessons, you also bring the breath with the sound, and we sometimes say the word, like we say om, we say and one. So what is the significance of sound in introducing sound with the breathwork? Do we do it or not? Like, is it recommended?
It is recommended. So the reason we do it from a scientific perspective, as I always tell you guys in the class, is that when we do breath work, we are dealing with 3 levels. We're dealing with the body, the mind, and the spirit, right? So from a body perspective is what, when I say there's a medical or a medical physiological explanation and reason why we're doing what we're doing. So for example, the particular breath you're talking about is Brahmari or Om chanting, which is known as humming bee in English. And when you chant and you create this vibration in the back of your throat, you're actually stimulating your vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve. And when the vagus nerve gets activated, your body gets into parasympathetic nervous system, which is the automatic signal to your body that it's time to rest and digest and to get out of the stress response, which is fight, flight, or freeze. That's one of the things that happens when you chant and create that vibration at the back of your throat. And like I said, in our tradition, we do it with the sound of Om, but you can also do it just with the sound, which that's why in English they call it humming bee. So you don't have to say Om, but even though Om is not even considered a religious. The second thing it does is that it actually secretes nitric oxide in your system, as you yourself pointed out, that chemical reaction under the skin that's happening, and I totally understand and agree with you on that. There's nitric oxide that's created, which is a mood booster. There's melatonin that's secreted when you do Brahmari, which is a natural fixer of jet lag, or if you're having sleepless nights because you're menopausal or something like that. So there are various physical benefits of doing these practices. That's just a given now because so much scientific study is being done on these practices, which was not there before.
I would like to just go to now the breathing, and then hopefully at some point we'll come back again and do some stretching.
One of the breaths that I highly recommend for many busy people is something that actually a doctor called Andrew Weil, you must have heard of integrative medicine. And he kind of adapted it from pranayama to call it the 4-7-8 breath. And basically what it does is an inhale to a count of 4, a hold to a count of 7, and an exhale through the mouth to a count of 8. So 4, 7, 8. So let's try it together a couple times together, and then we'll get a feel of what it feels like. For any breath work, we always sit up straight, making sure our spine is like in a straight. I always put a cushion cushion underneath my hips that raises and brings my knees lower than my hips. And this is the correct posture to sit in.
Can you be sitting on a chair or something?
If you're
Like
sitting on a chair, it's all good because you're usually sitting on a chair. Unless don't slouch, just sit up straight, and that is perfectly fine. Don't cross your feet, just leave them flat on the floor, touching the floor. Okay, that helps ground your body. So once we get the posture right, we're just going to breathe in. So when I say inhale, we'll begin. Let's inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just hold your breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale gently through the mouth as if you're blowing out a candle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do another round of this. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's very easy. 3 rounds of this or 4 rounds of this instantly brings down the cortisol in your system, your adrenaline, and switches off your sympathetic nervous system, puts you in a state of immediate relaxation. Great to do for students just before an exam or an interview, or somebody who's about to go and speak in public, or whatever makes anyone nervous. Okay.
Or in sleeping, can we do it for sleeping or no?
And unless you're experiencing like a panic attack at night or some kind of fear-based anxiety, is not generally used. So I would use it more when you're experiencing a lot of anxiety. All right. So the next one is just a simple inhale, exhale. Now we do it at a certain count. Every time you work with the count, the number to which you're inhaling or exhaling, or the number at which you're holding the breaths, either after the inhale or after the exhale. All these 4 counts, the count at which you inhale, the count at which you exhale, the number of seconds you hold the breath, either after the inhale or after the exhale, are having a direct impact on the nervous system. So it's really important to understand why you're using a certain count. I won't get into too much of the science of the counts. I mean, there's very good books out there working with this. I love this guy called Patrick McKeown. He does a great job of explaining the Buteyko method for breath retention. My point is that we are going to do this particular breath work with an equal inhale and an equal exhale. So I'm just going to have you inhale to 4 and exhale to 4. So let's begin. Once again, just find yourself in your body. Coming into your body is the way we start any breath work. So feel yourself in your body. Feel how they're sitting on the touching the floor, how your hips are resting in your seat. And when you focus on this, sensation that your body has with the earth or the chair, you're immediately coming back into your body. So that's the way we do it. And we begin. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So this, what we call equal breath, what it does is that it's just regulating your breath. What we don't understand, because breath, the normal breath that we take during the day is under the radar of our consciousness, which is the way it's meant to be. It's an automatic. Imagine if you had to focus every second on taking in your next inhale, because otherwise I'm going to die. So the nature has designed us to put this on autopilot. But just because it's on autopilot doesn't mean it's working efficiently all the time. So it is one of the things that works on its own, but we can also consciously change the way we want it to work. So one of the things that we often don't do is regulate our breaths. And this kind of exercise, working with an equal inhale and exhale, put the timer on, you take your phone. Your phone is your good friend when you have a breathwork practice going. Put it on for 3 minutes to begin with. You can move on to 7 minutes, 8 minutes as you go on. And just do this for 3 minutes. When the timer goes off, you're done. So equal, 4 in and 4 out. Next step, the same 4 in, 4 out. We're going to add in a hold at the end of the inhale, and a hold after the exhale. So it looks like a box. It's called box breathing. It is used by Navy SEALs. And
Yes.
when Navy SEALs are under a lot of stress in submarines and all that, they are taught to use this breath. No, it's not that they invented it. It's just that they popularized it because they use it a lot in their
Yes.
training, in their SEAL training.
Yes.
So this is how it works, like a box. You inhale to the count of 4, then you hold your breath for 4 seconds. Then you exhale to the count of 4 and you hold your breath for 4 seconds. So it keeps going like a box. It may not suit some people. This particular ratio may not be good for some people. They may feel out of breath. They may feel they're holding their breath too long. They may feel a little out of breath. And what will that do? That will actually do the opposite of what it's meant to do. This is what I was trying to tell you earlier. The ratio is so important because it's individual. For me, this ratio may feel very relaxing and perfect. For you, it may activate a stress response.
Do it in a with the teacher.
In a conscious way, in a way that you can observe what is happening inside me when I do this. And if you feel this ratio is a little difficult for me, bring it down to 3, bring down the retention. So this is why it's so important to have a very one-on-one kind of interaction with the teacher where you can tell them that find this a little stressful. Yeah, my purpose is just to caution people and to not, like if they hear that box breathing is a good breathing technique, and then when they do it, they don't feel so good, but they continue to power through it because they feel like, oh, well, everybody does it. The Navy SEALs do it. All the teachers talk about it. It must be a good one. That's what I'm trying to say, that it's a very individualistic thing. And it's just like asana practice, right? When we do our yoga postures, if I have a sprained ankle, I'm not going to be wanting to use that particular ankle, no matter what the rest of the class is doing, right? So once again, find yourself in your body, straighten your back, relax your shoulders, relax your face, relax your muscles. Just give a deep sigh and just feel yourself sinking into your chair and seat and feel that sense of relaxation. And we begin. I'm not going to put the metronome on. I'm just going to do a rough 1 second beat count. Okay. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
I want the clarity that for this one, we exhale also through the nose.
The first one was, and this is actually a very good question. It comes up very often in my classes, is that why do we do this and why do we breathe through the nose sometimes and through 90% of pranayama is done nose in, nose out. There are some particular practices, very few, that are done using the mouth. There are definitely reasons for that. They thought of everything. These yogis who were sitting in the mountains in the snow-capped peaks and doing this 24/7, they knew
their vibe was right. They downloaded perfect information.
Box breathing or 4x4 breathing. How did that feel for you guys?
So I use box breathing a lot. I like it, and actually I found out more information about it during the pandemic years when we were stuck and we were dealing with all the lung issues for ourselves and people. So box breathing was very, very important in helping me, and I would teach it to some of my clients. I did like a training session, and with this thing that they need to not just listen to me because I go into classes with you. So I'm like, I basically do say that. So I find it very, very helpful.
Share it.
Yeah, it's very good. I really prefer I have learned it with you, the nasal hold for that, and I just find personally for myself that thing much better because
I highly recommend it. I highly recommend even box breathing to be done with the hold. Like, for example, if I'm just holding my left nostril with my ring finger and the right, I leave it a little loose. I breathe into 4 and then I hold by clamping it down. Then I open it again when I exhale and then then I clamp it down again. Nostril breathing is one of the best and most useful and most beneficial pranayams. But again, it's a very complicated one because you change left nostril to right nostril and you change the ratio. You work with the 4 ratios based on the practice of the particular student, right?
I think it's just that when people get you to get your thing to consult with you, I think that's the best thing that you.
It is one of the best.
I find because it's so important in clearing out the passages for breathing.
Yeah, so let's actually try it the easy way. It's not that hard if you don't do it with the ratio. So here, take your thumb and place it under the bridge of your nose. Like, so you're not doing it here, but you're doing it somewhere in the middle of this. And place your ring finger on the other side. I usually tuck in these other 2 fingers that tend to get in the way. So I'm just using my ring finger and my thumb, okay? Now, just press down on your right nostril with your thumb. Exhale out of your left nostril completely. Inhale from your left nostril. Close this left nostril. Open the right one. Exhale through the right nostril completely. Inhale through the right nostril. Close. Open the left. Exhale through the left nostril. Once again, inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. So you see, it just goes like this, and like this.
Really
right?
nice.
Very good for harmonizing the 2 hemispheres of the brain, the left side and the right side, and very many benefits. I would recommend, again, putting on the timer for about anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes and doing this as many rounds as you can. Other practice, the last one that I'll mention is the skull shining or the Kapalbhati Kriya that we do. So Kapalbhati technically is not a pranayam in the yogic scriptures. It's considered a purification exercise that you do before pranayam, just like the asana practice you do before the pranayam. So pranayam itself means pranayam, which means you're taking the prana, which is the life force, which is the chi or the vital energy that you have, the cosmic intelligence that causes you to function the way you do, because you're not making your heart beat or the blood go through your veins. There's cosmic intelligence that's doing that for you, just like there's that same intelligence in everything. Plant against gravity, what's happening there? Something that's beyond, it's what we call cosmic intelligence. And to have a grasp of that, to have a control of that is called yama. And to be able to lengthen that, ayama, is what we are doing, prana yama. You're taking that prana, which is a life force, and you're extending and you're working with it, finding some way to deal with it. So in Kapalbhati, my point was, it's not technically considered a pranayam practice. It's considered a kriya, which means that it's used for purification. And it's great to do for somebody who has a lot of mucus, asthma-related respiratory conditions, because it actually expels a lot of the mucus when you do this practice. Just like I was telling you, Sophia, in class the other day, that neti pot we use, that comes from the same purification practices. Neti in India is one of the Shat Kriyas, just like Kapalbhati is one of the ways we cleanse. Kapalbhati is an interesting practice because you're going to be pushing back your diaphragm to the back of your spine through a sharp exhale. So the inhale happens automatically. It's like a trampoline, you know. Just think of it as a trampoline that you set up inside your body, and you're giving all your inner organs a good massage and good wake-up call, because everything—
A little blender.
Exactly. So
blending it with air.
So you do this for a few cycles. Like I recommend 20 of these expulsions, rest, 20 more, rest, and 20 more. So I'll just show you for a few of them, and then I'll have you try a few on your own. So this is how it's going to go. Okay. The mouth is never open in this.
Okay.
So yeah, because
so
I put
expel
the
it through the nose. Yeah, so expel it through the nose and then just let automatically your body inhale.
Your body inhales through the nose automatically.
Yeah. Okay.
My face will look just like this. So I'm not opening my mouth. It's all coming forcefully out from my nose. But along with the forceful exhalation through my nose, I'm moving the lower part of my lungs which is it's called diaphragmatic breathing, but you're actually forcefully exhaling from the lower part of your lungs, and the diaphragm moves up and down when you do that. And this is also one of the coffee breaths that we do that I mentioned. Not taught in this format when I was teaching at colleges. We've just made it easier for the students. We call something called chicken breath. We make them go quack, 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 and we go up and down and breathe like that. It's just funny stuff that the kids like. But yeah, this is the original form of the coffee breath. So try it a couple times and then see how you feel.
And then do you do a breath hold at the end, or how do you?
Yes, we do. Actually, the Kapalbhati, again, like I said, it's a Kriya, and there's 3 types of Kriya. The one we are practicing is Vata Kapalbhati, which means you're working with the air element. And then if you apply the Kumbhak, which is the air retention at the end of the Kapalbhati, it becomes a pranayama, actually. It's a little complicated, the science behind it, but we don't do that as a cleansing practice. We don't use and we don't need. But what you're talking about is an advanced practice that I think we have done it in class. How to do that? Okay, all right.
So I'm excited to show some of my clients this is what you teach us. Like,
please do share, and I know that you can help your clients by teaching them diaphragmatic breathing. Like this is what the one I was telling you that we have the kindergartners do. Just lay down, and they love it. They lie down after lunch. They lie down on their backs. We put their favorite stuffed animal on their bellies, and they're lying down, and we tell them, okay, take your little stuffed animal for a ride. So as you inhale, the animal goes up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, it comes back down. So this is a way to practice belly breathing that the kids love. And for us, of course, we don't need to put stuffed animals. We can just visualize a balloon in our bellies, a balloon that extends as we inhale and then goes back down as we exhale. This is a great one for you to teach your clients. So even as your clients are laying on your table, ready to get their procedure, you want them to relax. Some people have a fear of needles, and you use a lot of needles. Yeah. And you may want to get them to do the belly breath to relax.
Belly breath or box breathing? No,
the belly breath will be better for them, which they would inhale to 4 and exhale to 8. That would be the best way for you to
I'll do that. There is like also a video where I'm doing like a family lift on somebody, and I was also telling them exactly because you had just taught us. So I was telling her that breathe to this and exhale to that.
I highly recommend it because when they're calm, everything heals better in their body when the stress hormones are not. So I think I'm not scared of needles, but even I change my breathing when I'm about to get a shot or something, because I just like go slower and exhale longer.
So I will definitely do Kapalbhati even though I have had my caffeine. One last question. I know that you have to go, and we have just gone over because there are so many questions, and this just goes to show that you should come here regularly with me. But because this is just the beginning, and there are so many questions already. I'm sure that once we post it, there'll be so many questions. But I wanted to ask you, like, what do you recommend? Like, if I'm falling asleep, is there any gentle breathing that you would tell us that will help us calm ourselves down and fall asleep? I fall asleep when you're making us do like that body relaxation thing, but
the best practice for that is something called yoga nidra, which is basically a practice where you coordinate. It's called body scan in English, and you've done it a few times. You basically coordinate longer exhale breathing and awareness of sensations in various parts of your body. And that, for some reason, has a way of relaxing each and every muscle. So your body is relaxed, your focus is on your breath, your parasympathetic nervous system gets activated due to the longer exhale type breathing. And it's highly recommended. One of my favorite medical practitioners is not a medical practitioner, he's a scientist, a researcher, Dr. Andrew Huberman at Stanford University, also yoga nidra in one of his breathwork classes. And he uses it as one of the best relaxation, sleep inducing. If you do 20 minutes of yoga nidra, it's equivalent to like 5-6 hours of deep sleep. So
wow,
that depth of the deep,
I should have known that when I was in med school.
Yeah.
Too late. Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So basically reach out to sangeetabansal.com. All right. Thank you, Sangeeta. You're the best. So I will hopefully see you soon.
You had some great questions. Thank you, Sophia.
Yes, thank you. We'll have more. Take care. Okay, bye-bye.